Yeah.
So, okay, can you tell us a little bit about, in your opinion, what are the biggest contrasts between HR in the West, where you come from, where you worked as well, and in the Middle East, in GCC countries? Is there any such any differences between both?
No, no, absolutely. I mean, just on that very briefly as an intro to that topic, you only really have to look at the management systems that have come out of America versus Scandinavia versus Japan to see completely different styles of structure and management, all of which have gone on to found hugely successful companies. So I also think the idea that there's one right way to do HR is erroneous. Culture plays a big role. I think one of the fascinating things about working in London, and I'll talk about the UK if you don't mind, Moses.
Yeah.
I appreciate that your listeners are from all over, but or viewers, I should say, since this podcast. But the UK is A, home, and B, the area outside of the GCC where I've spent most time working. If you look at London, it's a very multicultural city, but um, contrary to what some of our politicians would have you believe, it is still primarily majority Brits. And so whether that's first generation, second generation, or you were there while the Romans were invading, it's primarily Brits.
Sure.
And that concentration of culture means that as new people come into the British market, who perhaps come from different cultures where things are done differently, typically speaking, they become more and more aware of the British culture and way of working, which I suppose I would suggest is slightly less hierarchical than, say, Asia. And I'm talking about Asia as if it's one thing. It's the largest continent in the world, so bear with me. We have to talk slightly in generalizations when we talk about culture.
Yeah.
Uh, it's typically more permissive in terms of challenges to authority or questioning of authority. Typically, as a Brit myself, I would expect my employees and those people who report to me to question me publicly if they think I'm making a mistake.
Mm.
That's not the case, perhaps, with a senior Japanese businessman, where that's considered culturally taboo. So there are some variations with the West versus, and by the West, I assume we're talking about Europe, the States, etc., versus the GCC.